everybody. Welcome to Sunday Morning Live. I'm your host, Aaron Tomlinson, and I do have with me, although you can't see her, but you can hear her, I have with me my friend Jimena Yantorno. And Jimena, it's great to have you. We can hear you, but even though we can't see you, but we're going to go ahead and press ahead and do it anyway. So, how are you this morning?
Thank you, Aaron. I'm doing fantastic, and thank you for having me here today. And yes,
Thanks for
it's a
joining.
shame you cannot see me today. Thank you.
So, for anybody that follows me and knows me or has followed this channel for any time at all, knows that I'm notorious for having technical difficulties. So, I'm going to own this and say this is my fault that we can't see your lovely face. But anyway, it's great to have you. I know you're really busy, especially on the weekends, and so I'm really excited that you made some time for us and for me. I need to just give it a minute and share this on a couple other platforms. So that'll take me just a second. And that'll give people some time to jump on who are probably used to me being late because of technical difficulties, which I occasionally have. so,
Okay.
so Jimena, you and I have been friends for a while. It's been a few years. Um, but obviously, you're brand new to this audience. So we're streaming on Facebook, YouTube, and then I have a private Facebook group that we're streaming to also. So why don't you give us a little bit of background about yourself? Just tell us a little bit about who you are, a little bit about your upbringing, because I think you bring a unique perspective to a topic that we've talked about a lot on this channel. But it's going to be a little bit more multicultural, which I think is going to be really helpful. So just share with us a little bit about who you are, your background, stuff like that.
Okay, thank you. I was born in Colombia, South America. I did grow up with exposed to many things that I consider part of the healing techniques that we use.
Mhm.
For example, my father used to have crystals at home, uh, clear quartz, other gemstones. We love nature, always outside. Every day we will talk about dreams. Hey, what dreams do you have last night? So it was very normal. My mother was into plant medicine. Everything she could heal or help us with was related to plants, um, anything with the plants, teas, tinctures, all that sort of things.
All right.
Talking to the animals was normal. Like, yes, you will talk to the animal. That all of those things that now I say, oh my God, is I grew up with the influence of it all. At early age, I did start having dreams, although my journey was through nightmares. So later on, when I did start my adventure of self-discovery and healing.
Mm,
The nightmares were clues of the direction that I needed to take to heal myself. It's like the nightmares told basically was something that helped me to understand that my soul was out of balance or something was trouble in me. So yes, that's how I grew up, and because I grew up with all of these things, I became an accountant. So I'm a tax accountant by trade. And and then when I was 30, I had the opportunity to come to the US and I didn't want to get back to Colombia. And then I part of my communication with the spirit was the realization that this is where I needed to come to bring my gifts.
mm,
Not my gifts as an accountant, but
mm,
as a healer. So that was another adventure, and it was not to me.
mhm.
I don't know if our audience believe in past life. I do. So yes, Spirit brought me west all the time. I did start in Florida, then we moved to Colorado. um, just opening and opening
Mhm.
to the knowledge that has been always there within me.
So, how long have you been in Colorado?
We came to Colorado in the year 2011.
Okay.
So it's been what, 12, 13? It's going to be almost 13 years in the summertime.
Okay.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. It's already 13 years.
I know time. I don't know. I've had a hard time keeping track of time since that crazy year that we call 2020.
Oh, yes, yes. Something happened to us.
Something happened to us that hasn't been quite corrected yet. I don't think so. So you grew up. So I find it interesting because in America, most of us grow up in a scientific materialist worldview, right? Um, Talking to animals, that might be something good for children. Crystals, those are just rocks. Um, and then dreams, I don't know what people think about that kind of stuff. Whereas you're growing up where this sort of a non-materialistic worldview is normalized for you, right?
Yes,
And then I find it interesting that you made the move specifically because you wanted to bring your gifts to America. So you talk about being an accountant, which is I love because that means you definitely bring that sort of what traditionally we call the left brain logical side to your life. But then you have this other aspect and this practice. I've worked with you several times. You've done readings for me. You've done energy work, all kinds of stuff. Um, so talk a little bit about what you do when you say your gifts. Like what what kind of stuff do you do? I know, but maybe just kind of help the audience understand. Like if somebody made an appointment with you, what might they expect?
so I will say like the overall thing that I do is bridging the higher consciousness
Hmm.
to this reality, bridging divinity with humanity. So when somebody comes to me, the way I present it is through life guidance. So everything we do together, we open to receive information that might show or assist the person that is coming to the session, is assisting that person to find the answers that that person is in need, maybe to help to take better decisions, or maybe something related to health. It's like we go back to the essence of that person. What is it that that person needs at this moment to be guided to have a better life? Because it is a birthright to be happy.
Mm,
It's not even something that we should look for it. We should own it instead of pursuing it. Oh, if I have more money in my bank account, maybe I will be happier. Maybe not. So let's instead of going outside of ourselves, we go inside.
mm,
We allow the introspection, meditation. Like when you know more about yourself, healing happens.
hmm.
So, yes, those are the gifts, like the connection. Let's reconnect to what is important, to your source, because everybody was created, regardless you call it from God, spirit, universe,
Hmm.
source. That's a beautiful relationship that should be kept in the best terms.
Hmm. Let's let's talk a little bit more about that. You know my background. As a Christian minister for a long time, and and we definitely had, as Christians, felt like we cornered the market on divinity and God, um, and I'm sure you were at least somewhat familiar with Catholicism, uh,
Yes.
growing up, and I think that the main idea was that God was angry, God is judgmental, God is kind of up in the heaven keeping score on everybody, and the big thing is to we call it sinfall redemption. With humanity sinned, humanity fell, God's keeping score up there, we're failing miserably, And so God, send his son Jesus to die on the cross, this horrible, terrible death, so that we could be, spared, but only if we're believers. And then I think there's something like 30,000 at least denominations. So there can potentially be 30,000 different interpretations of how a person gets saved. So for, Catholics, it's being baptized and, confessing your sins and taking the Eucharist and stuff like that. For evangelicals, it's praying a prayer. For other groups, it can mean lots of different things. And so in America, at least, the concept of God is really conceptualized around that whole idea of sin, fall, and redemption, or the need to be saved, this idea of eternal hell or eternal conscious torment if you don't get it right. And so for a lot of people that have been on this journey, I think a lot of people have been awakening since really like 2012, right? Like, we call it deconstructing from some of those more toxic frames and beliefs about God. But I find that a lot of people feel like they're left with this sort of binary choice, sort of this either I believe in the God of my childhood, whether it's Catholic or evangelical or Pentecostal in my case, or I don't believe in God at all. I become an atheist and a scientific materialist. So let's just talk for a little bit about how to conceptualize, because you said that relationship is really important to keep that relationship with source and with creator going. What's a way that we can conceptualize that outside of maybe some of the toxic frames that came down to us from the church? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, well, um, when you go within, like I will suggest, like we start with meditation or your own prayers, or if you are tired of that concept, it's like, okay, let's go outside in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Let's allow ourselves to witness beauty, to witness the things that humans cannot create. So nature is one of those. Humans do not create nature, or you experience the elements, the water, the air, the fire, the dirt. So when you start opening, even to something as simple as that, walking without shoes,
Mm.
going going to hug the tree, looking at your animals, looking at your children, that is the concept of God or spirit or creator. Is something beyond what you can comprehend. It's
Mm-hmm.
like hold that baby in your arms. You fall in love with that baby. You don't even know how to describe it.
Yeah.
It's like it's something that is sublime.
Mm-hmm.
So you can ask, hey, spirit, even if I don't believe in that. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, I know that, or we have learned that we were created at the image of the same, of the creator.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we have never seen that creator, like in physicality, but we see parts of that creator. And
Mm-hmm.
when you see yourself in the mirror, you are a spark of that creator. So I will say it is through the experience of love, whatever you appreciate and keep close to your heart.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a route that can take you to that divinity that is part of you.
Mm-hmm.
You are just connecting with something that is, we call it the higher self. It's your high, it's a higher aspect of who you are. We can see God through that as well if you don't want to see it as somebody else up there on a throne, on a pedestal, keeping score. Yeah, no, that's not my concept of God. It's like, yes, it's something even more gentle. I believe that's my experience.
Mm-hmm.
I like to believe that God is part of that love that I have in my heart. Even though, yes, every day I have lessons, I have challenges,
Mm-hmm.
um, and those challenges are part of kind of clearing the misconceptions around the same concept of love.
Mm.
And that's where the spiritual world is right now. You see many things crumbling down because those are not real. Those are things that humans created based on maybe fear, greed, frustration, blah, blah, blah. That's not the real unconditional love.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. So when you're talking about things that people have created, you're talking about like concepts and ideas around God or around love that are more human in origin than actual reality. In my understanding, is that what you're saying?
yes. And also, for example, let's say that you look at the car that you love so much.
Mm-hmm.
That love cannot be compared to the love that a flower, that the beauty of the flower, that the beauty of the child brings to you.
Mm.
So, yes. So, there are things that when we connect, let's get back to walking in the beach or hugging the tree. Those things were not created by humans.
Mm-hmm.
So those things that, well, they are kind of friends to you because they were created with the same essence as you are.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of vibration or love is nothing in comparison to the love that you can have for a building or a car. That's human creation. So yes, I can love my car, but hey, I truly love nature. I truly love being in the waters, feeling the sunlight shining on me. That's
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make sure that yes, we have clarity in between those two. And
Mm-hmm.
even though, yes, at the end, it is said that we are all one with everything that exists, even the inanimated things.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, I'm trying to give you an idea of how can we get to the concept of God, especially for the ones that do not believe in it. So yeah, I don't believe in God being a person or somebody else. It is
Right.
just part of it's just part of us.
Mm-hmm.
And that idea of unconditional love, I think the concept could be found more in our experience of love.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like we are far from that. Look at the world right now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I love this, Jimena, because I mean this is definitely what I was hoping for when I asked you to uh, come on and allow yourself to be interviewed. Because for me, you're really presenting um, sort of the I don't know if this is the right word for it, but sort of the an ancient worldview or maybe more of an indigenous worldview, like a couple things that are I think different, like growing up in the States and growing up with scientific materialism and growing up with just materialism in general. Um, and I love how you're illustrating um, love for nature, connection with nature versus a car or things that we've made, things that we've created, right? Um, but a couple things that I think we can learn or that I think that would be helpful for humanity going forward, because one of the things I've been doing, the other thing I've been doing on my uh, podcast is interviewing people from different perspectives and different backgrounds about where is humanity at right now and what does the future of spirituality look like um, for humanity. And one of the things that I think we can really benefit from is not only a concept of divinity that is, for me, what I would say is far more expansive than what I got or taught as a Christian. Um, and that's not to say that, I'm not disparaging people that are still embracing a Christian faith, because I think there are healthy ways to do that. Um, but this is also more expansive. So, in other words, it can include that, but it's also more expansive. It doesn't require that you believe a certain way in order to have that divine connection. Like with what you're saying, we're all connected, we're all part of this divine source or creator or consciousness, but also this return to nature, to harmonizing with nature. How important do you think that is to healthy living, just for a person, for an individual? To I mean, because we're all going to love nature at various different levels, right? Like, I'm quite sure I will never have. Well, I grew up on a farm, so I have some traumas that I probably healed from. I'm quite sure I will never have the love or connection with the animal kingdom that you have. Um, but that's okay, right? I can still find my own sort of harmonious relationship with nature. How important do you think that is for us in order to be happy? You talked about our birthright being for us to be happy. How important is that connection with nature, do you think, to that specifically, to wholeness, to health, etc.?
Well, we can see nature and all the beings that part of that, that are part of that, as just being an extension of Creator.
Mm-hmm.
Because yes, nature is also presented in different aspects. So, okay, for example, in the physicality, okay, I'm gonna go to the forest.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go to the beach or to the creek today, and most of the time you are gonna find or you are gonna have an amazing experience because it's your senses. You are feeding your senses. You are like the brain waves are changing when you are just listening to the waters. Is something mesmerizing, and that's the power of it. The other aspects of nature, well, we have the animal totems, animal spirit. I like that's something that some people might have not experienced so far,
Mm-hmm.
but creator is everything. So through creation, we can experience that love if we open to it, and everything has the power to give us information. So in my dreams, animals do come, and long time ago, an animal did talk to me in Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
It was bilingual. So, so that inspired me to become vegetarian because the animals have showed me amazing things to get me out of trouble. Of course, I can see it as God or a spirit just talking to something that is appealing to me, the animals.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe to some people, the cars will talk to them or the crystals. Like you don't know what the medium of the universe to come to you is going to be used.
Mm-hmm.
Or sometimes you are going to find people in the streets and they're going to say one word that can change your life.
True.
Or maybe you see something that I like to do that it might looks superficial. Is like sometimes I go through Facebook at night just
Mm-hmm.
to see things. And believe me, almost every day I find confirmation of things that I heard or that I'm working with during the day, or
Mm-hmm.
even for my clients. Let's say that in a station, something came related to Europe or something specific.
Mm-hmm.
Believe me, most of the time, 99%, I go through social media and I find something that resonates with that and is direct confirmation of what I did during the day. Or if I had a question, it comes through very easy.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't question things anymore. It's like, okay, I trust that I have a team. And it is said that we were created with a team, with angels, archangels. And that's something also that I grew up with. Talking about Archangel Michael, the angels, we had so many religious festivities in South America.
Mm-hmm.
So every aspect teach you something, a quality. We can see it as that, not just, oh, another indoctrination aspect. No, there are things that are also positive if we dig a little bit deeper and deeper.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you're getting into the other aspect, one of the aspects of the conversation I wanted to have, and that is the reality of the spiritual world. So when you're talking about animal totems or an animal coming and talking to you in Spanish, um, and I love how you said, that could be a medium for the divine, certainly. But I think, most traditions around the world that haven't been influenced by scientific materialism, frankly, which is really the newcomer, um, has this concept that there is a layer of, I guess the way I would describe it is a layer of spiritual reality around or over that which is physical. So for every physical manifestation, there is a spiritual correspondent, so to speak. So nature spirits, totems, like you mentioned, but you also mentioned like your spiritual team, and I love that. I love that idea. I love that thought. You included with that the angels and the archangels and stuff like that. And so you had the good fortune of growing up in that environment. One of the things that we did with our children was we purposed to not minimize their experiences by telling them, "Oh, that's just your imagination." So, for example, I remember when Elijah was really young, maybe 3 years old, 4 years old, that we had a plan to do something for the day. And Elijah tells us, we're not going to be able to do that today because it's going to rain. And we're like, well, how do you know it's going to rain? And he said, well, the birds told me that it's going to rain.
Oh, wow.
Um, and then, both kids have definitely seen non-physical entities, both positively, and I don't know if negatively is the right word, but scary to them. And definitely one instance that was not good. But we really tried to affirm that, like, oh, isn't that cute? The birds talk to him instead, like really trying to build that expansive worldview and ideas inside of them so that they don't have to struggle with doubt. Because I think a lot of people intuitively connect with stuff that you're talking about. They connect with something, they may not even know what it is, that's coming from non-physical places or non-physical entities. Or like you said, they're having synchronicities, whether it be finding something on social media or I know like the arts would really speak to me a lot. Anything from just a painting to a poem to a play or a movie. But we tend to doubt that stuff as Americans. I think we tend to, especially growing up in American schools, we so overweight, I think, logic and reason and scientific materialism, which has its place. I'm not down on it. I'm not saying it's an either or thing. It definitely has its place. But I think that we are conditioned as Americans in general to discount our intuitions, to discount that kind of input and stuff that happens in our lives. So where would you suggest, I know you've worked with a lot of clients and stuff, where would you suggest if someone's like, I really bear witness with this is really speaking to me today, and I want to believe that I have a spiritual team, I want to believe that I've got support that maybe I can't even see. How would you recommend somebody begin with that? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, we like the session will start with a ceremony, a small ceremony, just to harmonize you with everything else.
Hmm.
So, and remember, we do have a spirit. That's why we resonate with things that we don't see, because that's part of also what we are. I don't see my soul, but I know I have a soul. I
Mm-hmm.
have a spirit, even though I don't see the spirit. So we will start with harmonizing, opening to that connection,
Mm-hmm.
and slowly we start walking the path of identifying what resonates with that person,
Mm-hmm.
what that person feels good with, what kind of emotions, what kind of dreams or images. So there are many ways we can get there. And when you work with somebody by their side, they are going to trust that because the main element is is to create that trust with that person that is coming to you.
Hmm.
I'm not making fun of that person. I'm not doubting whatever that person is receiving. It's like, okay, let's see. Let's
Hmm.
open that a little bit more to see where that can take us.
Hmm.
And believe it or not, once we even saying like the invocation that we do or prayer at the beginning of every session or meditation, that opens the door through yeah, opens the door to any of the manifestations to come through and be held in that beautiful space. Even for the people that seem to be tormented
Mm.
by spirits and
Hmm.
well, when that happens, is well, there is also a beautiful reason. You are recognizing other things, so you are always safe.
Mm.
That's my experience, or that's where I want to take everybody to feel
Hmm.
safe.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. So what are some of the advantages? Let's talk about that. But like in other words, if you having your spiritual team or having this connection, being able to be open to your dreams and messages as they're flowing through and coming to you. Um, can you share like what are some of the advantages to that versus not having those lines of communication open? Does that make sense? Does that question
Yes,
even?
yes.
Okay.
So so in this moment, let's look at the world that we have created.
Hmm.
What are we giving value at the moment? Maybe we are giving value to those ideas of success, having money, resources, looking pretty. To some degree, yes, that's okay.
Hmm.
But you see a lot of people that even though they are successful, they are not happy.
Hmm.
And I'm working with those people especially because here in the US, this is a beautiful country where we have learned to manifest in the physical aspect, meaning money. We are business oriented. We are money oriented. We
Hmm.
are cap. Is more like the capitalism oriented, and that's
Yes.
fantastic. That's fantastic. However, for us to be more complete, we need to bring soul to that,
Hmm.
spirit, emotions, other things. So I see people that hey, they have it all, and one day they want to walk away, or they are in a crisis.
Hmm.
Um, and look at the other marketing campaigns, like everything is anti-aging, or yeah, like we are fighting to some things that are just natural.
Right.
It's like, can we just embrace things that we are? Can we embrace death as well? People are very afraid of transitioning.
Hmm.
There is a lot of mystery about death around that. Yes, there is a lot of grieving. At the same time, there is a lot of fear.
Hmm.
So there are many aspects that it would be fantastic if we consider all the aspects as physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. You could be very successful. You can have all the money that you want, but if you don't give value to your soul, what is your purpose? It's like, okay, one day you are going to be desperate. Something is missing with you, missing within you. That's where we can start bringing all the other aspects, especially of the things that we don't see,
Hmm.
just to be there with us, just to feed us, and for us to go beyond that threshold.
Hmm.
Life happens in the universe. How many stars or star systems are in the cosmos? Billions. It's no millions or a few thousand. No, billions.
Right.
Life goes on. Isn't that amazing
Yeah.
to think about it?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Um, so that's probably a good segue. One of the things again that I've been talking to different individuals about is just this idea of what is the future. And I'm not asking you or anybody to predict the future, just based on, your perspective. What do you think the future is for humanity, or specifically spirituality? Because I see a couple things happening. I see, on the one hand, like there's sort of the religious side, which I'm very in tune with because that's just was my life. And so there's been, again, since really, 2012, sort of this awakening where people are breaking free from the limitations of a lot of religious dogmas and religious doctrines. Um, I started a Facebook group with a friend of mine, I want to say about 3 years ago, that we called Religious Trauma Recovery. And we just kind of threw out this idea that for some people, their religious experience can be very enriching and empowering, but for a lot of people, it can be very dehumanizing and traumatizing. And we just kind of started this group on a whim, and I was amazed at how it exploded in terms of growth around the world. I don't even know how many people are in that group now. Um, but there were so many people that had such heartbreaking stories of things that they had experienced as a result of um, wounds in the church and things like that. And so, from my perspective, there was a real awakening to that aspect of things. There was a lot of healing to that aspect of things. And then you kind of have this group of people that, like I said, they either go on into full on atheism, which is okay, but it's almost like I feel like they don't feel like they really have a choice. I either go back to this or I go into full on like scientific materialism and atheism, which isn't going to help the soul, in my opinion. It's not. It's just going to box you more into trying to find that satisfaction or fullness or wholeness through more anti-aging products and trying to keep the thing going as long as possible or whatever. And then there's this group that's this sort of lost, and I guess that's kind of where my heart is like to help this group of people that don't want to give up on spirituality, don't want to give up on this idea, some of the concepts that we find within religion, that we have a soul, that we have a spirit, that there is an invisible dimension, that there are angels and archangels and beings that are sent to help us and work with us, and that there is something after this, we die physically. Um, and helping them find a pathway forward has been part of my passion for the last couple of years, but it's something definitely that's growing inside of me. Um, and so I kind of lost my train of thought as far as where I was going with that, because I was setting that up for something. But I think I guess what I would just say, Jimena, is that's where my heart is, like, for that group of people to help them find a pathway forward where they don't have to give up on some of the beautiful things about relationship with source and creator and stuff like that. And yeah, so I was talking about the future of humanity, the future of spirituality. So it's just interesting to me, like, and then there's sort of this revival that's going on too of fundamentalism, like, that's interesting to observe, like really fanatical, radical, nationalistic, sort of dominionist, we're going to take control, we're going to tell you how to live, we're going to tell you what to do, sort of revival that's going on within the church, right? But then you have like people awakening to all these other spiritual dynamics and spiritual paths. Channeling is one of the things that we've talked about. So from my perspective, I think the future is going to be a more individualized path, sort of a moving away from being bound and boxed in by traditions, whether that's East or West, whether that's, Buddhism and certain forms of Hinduism, or certain forms of Christianity and stuff like that, that it's going to be more of an individual initiation, if that makes sense, where people are finding their own individualized path, And then I do think that, this channeling aspect where people are channeling whatever they're channeling, uh, I think is also a component of this, because I'm seeing that aspect become more and more accepted, and people become more and more interested in that aspect of spirituality as well. So that's kind of where I see things going. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I'm very excited about our present and our future, because even though, yes, we see more chaos and imbalance and more conflict, and the right wing and the left wing, so everything seems like more extreme.
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, these extremes are necessary for the soul to be awakened. We have grown to be too comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I have resources. Why should I worry, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and as I was saying before, there are so many more people that are financially successful.
Mm-hmm.
Look how many more millionaires and billionaires we have every day.
Mm-hmm.
However, that is not the whole meaning of happiness for these people. So we need to experience it all to be able to decide. And that's the beauty I see.
Mm.
Things are crumbling, people are getting sick, one thing is not working. So they keep allowing themselves to search for more. So we need to, like at this point, all of this is serving the fact that certain institutions are not working for the collective.
Mm.
So they are going to be going down to the grounds, being destroyed by themselves, because anything that is not helping the collective to move on is not going to be in the way anymore. We are
Mm.
changing. We are in a different era, and that was what 2012 was announcing.
Mm-hmm.
How 2012 was announcing, even though we were preparing for 2012 at least 50 or 60 years prior.
Mm.
It didn't happen from one day to the other or
Mm-hmm.
just in the 2000s. Oh, 2012 is coming.
Mm-hmm.
No, it is a preparation. It
Mm-hmm.
took the hippie community to come alive, the rainbow community to come alive. So all
Mm-hmm.
of those younger generations, um, they brought something to this change after the war, the
Mm-hmm.
Second War.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, yes, we were heading towards something different. And a lot of people thought, oh, that's the end of the world. Well, to a certain degree, it was.
Mm.
It needed to change. So we continue in that. There are many more changes coming. 2028 is a big change. 2050 is another big change. And I see it with beauty because the reality that we have is not sustainable. We are going towards something that is more valuable and is more showing more integration. Yes, we have religion. We also have spirituality. How
Mm-hmm.
fantastic will be that we can see for the ones that want to continue being in the religious aspects of life,
Mm-hmm.
will be that wonderful that they truly act as the things they are studying or
Right.
allowing as the dogma for every day.
Right.
We don't see that. We see and I say this with love, but a lot of Christian based religious or cults or philosophies, oh, sometimes we are sure to become
Mm-hmm.
that love that we think is inspiring us. Yes, we admire our brother Jesus that we call Sananda as well. Oh, I love him. He's my brother. But sometimes it is difficult to experience that unconditionality for the other.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we see right now with extremes, with the fanatical. They are not loving towards each other. They are
Right.
not.
Right.
So it's like, okay, how can I continue with this philosophy if I cannot put it into practice?
Hmm.
So it's like we are calling the universe to take action. So the universe gives us more things to be grateful for, um, to live the unconditionality if
Hmm.
possible. So yes, we can perceive the challenges. We can perceive life as challenging. However, it might not be the case. It's just helping us to get rid of things that are misconceptions to those universal principles.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. um, very much in sync with a lot of that. A lot of the institutions and stuff are, in my opinion, part of a former age, and it is exciting to think about what's going to come about. You mentioned 2028. You mentioned 2050. Can you give us any insights on what you're thinking as far as changes or shifts that might come about in those years?
A lot of the changes are inspired by what humanity is going through. Um, for example, we have an ongoing conflict in the Middle East.
Mm-hmm.
That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
With the amount of technology and resources that we have, those things shouldn't be there. So
Mm-hmm.
people, the good part of that is that people, the collective, are getting tired of it to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we are not taking action yet,
Mm-hmm.
but we are getting tired of those things that those are uh, going against humanity, no matter who is right or not. It's like we are coming together to work things out. So 2028, technology, I think technology is changing rapidly, and we are, even though we have the menace of the AI, still we can give heart to that. We can give a spirit to that.
Mm-hmm.
We can create things with soul, because we are evolving. We
Right.
are evolving. We are becoming androgynous in nature.
Right.
So technology is going to be a big part of all the changes that humanity is going through. 2028, probably another financial crisis between now and then
Mm.
that can help people to value more what they have and what they are.
Mm.
And that was one of the lessons I saw with 2020 regarding how 2020 came to life or how it was created. It
Mm-hmm.
did help us. It did help us. Well, this is my perspective.
Yeah.
It did help us to see that our faith was very poor. It's like all of a sudden, why we had so much chaos and tragedy is because all of a sudden we didn't believe in anything.
Mm.
We didn't even believe in the healing abilities of the physical body.
Mm-hmm.
We lost faith
Mm-hmm.
very, very fast. So after that, there is a movement of cultivating those values, healing, growing your own food, researching a little bit more. Okay, this medicine, what is good for and what is not good for.
Mm-hmm.
Like people are embracing other things because of it.
Mm-hmm.
Even though, yes, we honor the ones that passed away because of 2020 and the families and communities that were left behind. Still, we see like graceful disruption to some degree, and that's what is coming. So there is nothing to fear. It's
Mm.
totally the opposite. It's like, wow, let's get ready. Let's simplify ourselves. Let's give value to what it is important.
Mm-hmm.
So by 2050, we should have more communities that are helping us to be re-educated in sustainability because that's the future of the planet. We cannot keep building or creating things that are going to destroy other communities.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense. We cannot keep perpetuating war as a profit. Come on, no, that's no consciousness. I
Right.
cannot be successful thinking that, oh, I'm going to have this business, it's going to be successful, but it's going to affect negatively another side of the world or another community.
Mm-hmm.
That is not success, even if that brings me a lot of money. So some things are changing and shifting in that direction.
Yeah. Love it. So thank you, Jimena, for coming on. This has been so good and so rich, and I feel like I'm growing and expanding just listening to you. Um, if people wanted to connect with you, I know you're busy. I know you keep a really busy schedule. Um, but is it possible for people that maybe want to connect with you and work with you who don't live in Colorado? Do you work with people out of state? Anything like that?
Yes, and I work with people around the world. Um, Basically, the best way to connect could be through my email,
Okay.
jimena.yantorno@gmail.com, or through my phone. WhatsApp is international. WhatsApp is very easy. It is
Okay.
727-244-8003. Um, you can research my name on the net. I have
I
a
did.
profile.
I did put a link to your profile in the description for people. So if they wanted
Okay.
to connect with you, they can go to that. Or if you want to share your email and number again, I'll give you a chance to do that so that people can connect to you that way if they want to also. So if you want to just share that again, that'd be great.
I can
Do I
see you
still have
now.
you, Jimena? Oh, okay. Um, so I did put the link to your Heal.me, I think, the one you sent me, the link you sent me. I put that in the description. And did you want to share your other information one more time for people? Did I lose you, Jimena? Yeah, I think I must have lost her. So anyway, at least we got through the interview. Hope you guys enjoyed this. If you want to connect with her, I do have a link to her information in the description. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will be with you again next week.